Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to give you all the pros and the cons of cloth grow bags, and then we're going to talk about plastic grow bags. So let's get started. Grow bags is something that I use quite often. I just love them. So let's start with the pros. Number one, they can be used anywhere. They can be used in a house, which I'm going to show you some pictures in a little while of some that I got going in the house. They can be used out on the deck. I've had up to 150 plants on my deck before. They can be used outside, pretty much anywhere, your driveway, your garage, your steps. Okay, so they're very versatile in that way. Number two, you can move them around. You fill them up with soil and you've got your handles right here and you can move them around really easy. Number three, the bags, these cloth bags are breathable. Okay, it's cloth. And there's some really cool advantages of having a breathable bag. Okay, the main one is you get a healthier root system. If you take plants, let's say you grow corn on a cob or some other big plant like that in a pot, what happens? I'm talking about like a plastic or a clay pot. They'll get root bound, and it can only get, maybe corn on a cob might get 4 or 5 feet tall. If it gets root bound, it's going to stunt its grow and it's probably going to die, get weak and die. In a grow bag, I've had, actually one year, I took a grow bag this size. This is a 5-gallon. I put corn on a cob in the middle, and my corn got 10 feet tall. I never had it that tall in the ground. And I planted a few string beans around, because they say that string beans and corn kind of help each other. My string beans, I had these on the ground below my deck, okay, on the first floor. They grew 20, I believe it was like 24 and a half feet high. They grew up to the second floor, across the deck, and they were touching my door. I think if I had let them go, they probably could have come in the house all the way to the kitchen and put themselves in the refrigerator. But that was all in a grow bag. And there's reasons for that. They have a healthier root system because of what they call air pruning. Now, since this is breathable, what happens is the roots inside the bag will start to grow. And when they get to the point where they hit the sides of the bag, the thin roots, or it's almost like hairs, will start to grow through the bag. Now, what happens is I have these out in the sun. The sun actually burns the roots. So it's almost like having a plant, if you're looking at the roots of a plant and you're constantly cutting the roots that keep on getting too big with scissors. The plant's going to keep on growing, but it's not going to get any bigger than that. So the roots are going to hit the side, if they do hit the side, and they're not going to go out. They're not going to go around because they want to grow out. That's the natural thing of a plant. And they can grow through this because they're breathable, and the sun, I guess you could say, bleaches them. It burns the roots off, so it stays contained. Very healthy for the plant. Doesn't get root bound, and it continues growing. I've grown full tomato plants and green pepper plants in a 3-gallon bag, which is, like I said, a lot less soil than this. And here I've grown lots of times 3 and 4 pepper plants and tomato plants in the same bag. Because of the air breathing, I'm not worried about them getting root bound or getting crowded. It'll just keep right on going. They regulate the temperature because it's breathable. Okay, if it gets too hot, air can escape. Now, if that was in plastic, okay, it wouldn't. They'd get too hot. And that's why I like the black bags. I do have, you can get them in green and yellows, and you can make them any color you want, but you don't want them to get too hot. You want the, you want it to be, it is breathable, but you don't want the sun to get through to the roots. So with a dark bag, that doesn't happen, especially with the kinds I have. These are kind of like a felt. I don't know if you could really see. They're pretty thick, all right? So the sun's not going to get through. Sometimes with the light ones, the sun can reflect in there, maybe hurt the roots. You can't overwater them. The nice thing about it is I have my garden usually on my deck over here, and right at the bottom, beside the deck, I guess maybe 4 feet away, there's a fence, and on the other side is a gentleman I call Pepe. Okay, he's my neighbor, wonderful guy. He's got a big garden, rototills every year, plants in the ground. And lately, the last 2 years, we've had a lot of rain in the spring. I mean, I look out at his garden. He has to wait and you can't plant till maybe 2 weeks after me because it looks like a swimming pool out there or a pond. And of course, I have my plants all going. By the time he's getting his plants on the ground, mine are already, well on their way. Some of my tomato plants are already flowering before he can get his in. And usually he does his, I believe it's May 1st. You have to wait the end of May. You have to wait till right around the 1st because you have to plant after the full moon, because when the full moon, sometimes it's frost or it's pretty darn cold. I don't worry about it. I plant. If it gets too cold, I just carry them in the house overnight. All right. So that's another beauty is they drain easy. You can't overwater them because if you water it, it just comes out. It just comes out. And I have something else to say about that in a minute. Do you have the crawly bugs and slugs and worms? Okay, they come up in the garden. He's always having trouble with cutworms and different bugs and things all over his plants, and sometimes there's holes all over his leaves. He says, "How you doing with that?" Nothing at all. Well, mostly because I have them in a grow bag, but I am on the second floor as well, so they're not climbing up here. But I've had these on the ground right below my deck. I have a small area where I have a bunch of them, and I've really never had trouble with any kind of bugs because they're not going to climb up it, or most of them won't climb up it. I guess a good way to deter it, if you do have bugs, put some double-sided tape around there. That might stop them as well. I hadn't thought of doing that till now. Try it. Let me know how it works. Okay. It can attract pollinators, okay? So you got all your plants out there in bags, and you're thinking, if I put these, let's say I have a bag of flowers or something that I think will attract bees, and, I know there's a lot of them by that area, so you can move the bags. He can't really dig up, his pollinators or his plants and move them over. They're going to die. So you can see I'm comparing him. He's got a beautiful garden, but I like to compare his with the grow bag garden. Okay. So I can move plants to wherever I want, strategic places where I think I can attract the bees and get them in the garden. And, if you really want to be, picky, you can actually put it someplace where all the bees are, get them on there and actually pick it up and walk them to the garden very gingerly and put them down, and you just move the bees. Don't make any sudden movement. Okay. That could be really painful. So they're easy to store. Matter of fact, I just got a big bunch of them. There's 22 of them right here. 22 bags. See that? It says 24, but I took 2 out already. And see how they fold down to virtually nothing? Okay, this is like that same bag I just showed you. Opens up, and so they store down to nothing. So right here on this, I have a table over here. Let's see if we can show you. There's 50 bags in this package here. You can't see with a microphone. There we go. 1, 2. So I have about 50 bags right there. Now, how much room would it take? This thing has a mind of its own. Ooh. Okay, how much room would it take to store 50 buckets? Okay, an awful lot more than what I have right there. The felt ones like this, or the cloth ones, are biodegradable. Okay, so you don't have to worry. Some people are really worried about, the environment. Okay, they're afraid that, what if it's not biodegradable? I go, if it's not biodegradable, pick it up and throw it away. You don't have to let it rot in the ground, but some people want to leave everything be. It takes a little bit more work to dump the dirt out and throw it away if you want to, but these are biodegradable. They will, eventually just rot and go away. Even though I don't leave them there, I take the extra effort of bringing them out. You don't have to worry about your ground soil. In other words, you don't have to worry about anything leaking or leaching and everything because they're felt. There's nothing bad in there. Okay, it's food safe. Easy harvesting. What do I mean by that? Okay, my back hurts when I do things. I don't like to bend down. If I have to bend down, I try to kneel down. I got those really thick knee pads. So let's say I were growing potatoes in this, or a 7-gallon or a 10-gallon, I don't want to dig bent over. You know what I do? I grab it by the handles, I pick it up, I put it on the table, and I work on it on the table. Okay. If I want to do some pruning, if I want to clip off the dummy branches on the tomato plant, or want to do some bonsai, which is bonsai chilies, okay? You don't want to do that without taking the plant out. I can just pick it up, put it on the table, and work on it. So they're easy to move around and easy for harvesting. You know, potatoes, pick up the bag, dump it on the ground. You're going to get all the potatoes. So dump it on the table, pick them all up, and push all the dirt back in. Okay, you can even plant the grow bag. How? Dig a hole, put the thing in, fill in the soil. So if you want to have that in the ground, you can. I would suggest putting it a little bit above the ground so you're not going to drown the plants, you know, in case you're in a really wet area. But you can do that if you like. And they're very versatile. You can use them in a lot of systems. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures in just a second. But the reason I say this is one of the cons, which I'm going to get into in just a minute, is you need to water them more. They dry out too quickly. That's two of the cons. They dry out too quickly. You need to water them. Yeah, because when you water it, it drains out. If you just leave them like this, some people do leave them like this and just put them different places in the yard and water them every day. But I'm one of these people, I don't like to water things every day. Matter of fact, with my automated gardens, which you're going to see in other videos, I have gardens sometimes with 50, 60, 100 plants, and I only water it maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, I call it lazy man gardening. Plus, I'm busy with my day job, so I might take off for a few days. I might go on vacation. I might want to go fishing. Okay, that's very important, and I don't want to have to be in the garden all the time. I go to the garden when I want to. So let me show you some of these pictures and the things you can do with it. Okay, let's see right over here. Okay, so these are the regular pots, 3 of these 5-gallon pots, as you can see here, with a few plants that I started to put in. And these, you see on the bottom, I have little trays, little plastic trays. So what I do is, as long as I keep, let's say maybe a half, with these here, yeah, about an inch, I keep the tray almost full, okay? I don't have to water them all the time because of the soil mix that I use. The soil sucks up whatever it needs. Okay, that's the beauty of it. It sucks up whatever it needs, and it doesn't stay drenched. It just takes what it needs and leaves the rest. So if I have a constant source of water underneath it, okay, it's going to have water. I don't have to water it every single day. Now, if you like, I use a certain soil mixture for these because whenever I use the grow bags, I always have them sitting in something. This way, I never have to worry about the weather. When it's raining for 4 or 5 days, the water drains out through the bag, and most of my systems that I sit the bags in have leveling holes, so if the water gets too deep, it drains out. So I could have monsoon rains as long as it doesn't break the plants, and I'll never get it overwatered because the water will just drain through and go out, okay? So that's the beauty of that. And if there's a drought, again, the water keeps the same thing all the time. So I know when I'm looking at Pepe, how you doing? Oh, my plants are drying. They're getting too much water. Oh, they're getting too much sun. It hasn't rained. How are yours doing? Great. You see the difference? It's really neat to compare that. Now, this is another system that I did here 1 year, and I had these, and there's about 1.5 inches to 2, I think closer to 2 inches of water in the bottom of this. I have plywood on the bottom, and I took a 2x6 board and made like a frame going around it, and I covered it with, I think that is greenhouse plastic, so just 6 mil plastic I got from Home Depot, and I put all those bags in there. If you look, there's what, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 20, 20, about 22 bags there, 22 plants. Actually, I would say 22 plants, but over here, these oops, you can't see where I'm pointing. These ones here in the corner, 1, 2, 3 bags here have 4 pepper plants each in them. And yeah, you can see I have some beans here, and I have a couple beans in each one. So there's a lot of different plants in there. There's probably 30, 40 plants right there. All right. This was a system. Matter of fact, it was one like this that I had here in the corner that 1 year where it was corn on the cob. It was sitting down there and it went all the way up, like I said, on the deck. It was crazy. I had it actually nearer to, well, there's a pole here, but I had it nearer to a pole on the other side. So that way it was going up. I could actually tie it to the beam so it could go up without breaking. So anyways, the nice thing about this here is as long as I keep the water in there, and I have on this end, you can't see on the side of the wood, about maybe halfway up, I just drilled a hole right through the plastic, right through everything. So when the water gets too deep, it drains out. Okay. Matter of fact, since there's water in there all the time, one year I even had a couple frogs take up residency in there, and they help with the mosquitoes. And people say, what about the mosquitoes? Well, if you don't want to have mosquitoes in there, you can put in crushed rock, you can put in mosquito dunks. What I would do is I'd just drain the thing completely, maybe once every 2 weeks, so before they could get started, let it set for the day so they dried out with the sun, and then refilled it again. How did I fill it with water? I have a hose up on the deck above it, and the hose, I didn't have it in the picture, but I usually let it down and just lie it down right in the side of the, along the plants inside the planter, I guess you could say. And like I say, once a week, once every couple of weeks, if I think it's getting low, I just turn on the hose, let it go until I see it pouring out the side, and turn it off. So I didn't even have to be there. I turn it on, go make dinner, watch TV, whatever, they come out and turn it off. Only takes about 5 minutes anyway. So really cool idea. And grow bags, you can do that. Regular pots, it's a lot more difficult. And just to show you more about that, this system here was done with kiddie pools. Now look at this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. I have 9 3-gallon bags going around, and I have a Walmart one in the middle. Okay, I don't use those anymore, and I'll tell you why. Or normally I would put, one year I put a 5-gallon in the middle and then 3 gallons all the way around. 3-gallon pot is pretty much big enough to grow any one plant you want. And here I have eggplant, I have peppers, I have hot peppers, I have tomatoes. So there's a lot of no string beans in there. But in the middle, I don't know if you can see here, in the middle I have string beans, which are growing right here, and these funny looking leaves, the long ones, are corn on the cob. So I had corn on the cob growing right out the middle of each one of these, and string beans growing up around it. Again, they help each other to grow, and it helps to shade everything. This was right in the front yard, and actually it was the front yard of somebody else. Sometimes I'll build these plant systems for other people, and it was really hot. Okay, so I'm glad I had something for shade. Now, I fill these again with 2 inches of water, and just to show you how, if you don't want to water them all the time, this big reservoir in the middle, I fill that with water, and this is the ones I don't have to do it maybe once every 3 weeks. I fill this up with water. It comes out, it goes into this blue bucket, which is it has a little float in the bottom, and the float is goes up to about maybe 2 inches. You can adjust it how high you want, which is the same level as all the pools. All the pools are level. So then there's a hose that comes out. You can't really see the hose because of the way it is. The hose comes out from the blue bucket and goes into one pool. So when the water comes out, that pool will fill up until the float shuts it off. So the water in the pool will be the same depth as the water with the float is. So what happens is once that one fills up, the water drains out of that one and goes in the next one and goes in the next one and goes in the next one. So all the pools are connected with a short little plastic pipe. Okay, so now what happens is that green bucket will go down until it fills up every pool about 2 inches. It's not going to go any deeper than that because that's when the float shuts it off. And just above the 2 inches, maybe about a ½ inch, quarter inch above the 2 inch line, I drilled a little hole in each of the kiddie pools as drainage. So if it rains tonight and you get one heck of a big storm, it's not going to matter because it's going to drain out. If it gets really dry and the plants are drying up, the green one will go down and start filling it in. And I even had a hose. I probably moved the hose for the picture, but just outside over here, I have a garden hose. So when it's time to fill it, when it gets really low, I just unzip. These were those zippable ones. I unzip this, stick the garden hose in, turn it on, and go away. When it's filled, I'll see it coming out of the big bucket. When it starts pouring out, I come turn it off. So I'm all set for another 2, maybe 3 weeks, depending on how hot it is. And in the heat of summer, I was filling it every 2 weeks. The rest of the time, maybe every 3. Okay. These also accumulated some frogs. And the same thing, if you start to get mosquitoes, I just find it's easier just to, to lift, instead of turning off the float and messing with it, I just lift the float bucket higher. So that way it stays shut off, and I drain all the pools out. And then I bring it back down, and it'll all fill up again with fresh water. And see if I have anything else in here. Now, another great thing for these bags, okay, if you don't want to just use them like this is my Alaska Grow Bucket system. And this is one of my favorite systems beside the kiddie pools. And inside each one of these buckets, so if you go to my Alaska Grow Bucket system link, I'll probably link it at the end of this video, you can see how this is made. Inside each one of these buckets, well, first of all, the buckets all have holes in them. Doesn't matter how big the holes are. You can see I got some big ones and the blue ones and smaller ones here. It's just to ventilate so they can have air going in. And this bag is inside there because it has the air pruning again. And the reason why I have this is, you notice is the holes don't stop for a few inches at the bottom. At the bottom of each bucket, I have a colander, like a spaghetti colander where you take the spaghetti and you drain it out. There's a spaghetti colander in the bottom of each one of these, okay, which keeps the bag off the bottom. And this is put on top, so it sits in the colander, kind of rounds it out a little bit, okay, and sits in the colander, so the bag. And what happens is the water goes from I have that big 50-gallon bucket as a reservoir. You can't see it, but it's off to the right. And that comes down, goes into the float bucket, and then levels off. So every single one, I think all in all, I have like, close to 23, 27 buckets here. It kind of goes all around. And it feeds all of them and keeps the same amount of water in. And the water hits the bottom of the grow bag and sucks up right up through the bottom. And you can see how nice these are. Now let's talk about all the cons of grow bags. Okay, they say they're cons, but I think it's just for people that don't understand it. There's ways around pretty much everything. Number one, they say you need more water. You need to water more frequently because it drains out. Well, not if it's in a system like this, because it comes out and it sits there and it still keeps on absorbing, okay? The bags drain too quickly. That's not a problem if you do that way. If you're just sitting them by themselves with no kind of container underneath at all, yeah, they're going to drain quickly. So you're going to probably have to water them every day. What's another con? It says the grow bags can get expensive every year. Anything gets expensive every year. However, okay, what does it cost for pots? I know you don't have to replace pots every year, but with grow bags, okay, these grow bags I buy them, I don't know if you'd call that in bulk. I buy them in packages of 24. I get them online. I got a 24 pack of 5-gallon, these here with nice reinforced handles. See the handles, how they're nicely sewed. I don't know if you can see that or not. Look at all the extra sewing they did, okay? For $29.99, so $30. So if you break that down, it breaks them down to $1.25 each. $1.25 each. So that's really not that expensive. And if you still think it's too expensive to redo them for $1.25, go buy yourself some landscape cloth and make your own. One year I made all my bags out of landscape cloth because it's still breathable, and it's very easy to do. Just go online and punch in, to whatever search engine, and punch in grow bag patterns. There's a lot of people that are giving you patterns on how to sew these grow bags, and you can find them free. I found them all over the place. Make them your own. Have your mother or sister or brother, whoever has a sewing machine, make them for you. Okay, but like I said, these aren't that expensive, and I use them over and over. They last. I'm still using some from 4 years. Okay, 3 to 4 years. So $1.25 for 4 years is not that bad. Let me show you. Here's one I used last year. Look at the condition this one is in. This is one of the Viva Sun. Okay. I mean, it's in good condition. You could tell I used it by, if you can see in here, you can probably see some of the dirt still in there. I didn't dump everything out, but it's in very good condition, and they're very dust. They're very strong. Now I'm all full of dust here. They're extremely strong. Okay. And I mean, when I use tomatoes, I stick my tomato cages right in there. And people say, well, what if you get a hole in the bottom from the cage? I don't care. It just gives it more drainage. Remember, these bags are breathable. They're not designed to hold water. If you want to hold water, get plastic, okay? So again, I haven't seen a negative yet, okay? Lifespan, which was the other, people say the negative part is the lifespan, because they're cloth bags. Well, these here, most of these felt ones, like I said, will last 3 years, 4 years, some of them 5 years. After about 3 years, I've been throwing them away just because I want to get some new ones. I just like them, okay? I dump them out in the fall, and what I'll do is I take all the dirt from up here on the deck and I dump it down in this big pile downstairs, and I get new ones. So they aren't as durable as plastic. Well, they're cloth bags. I mean, if you want plastic pots, get plastic pots. But you've already seen all the other advantages. The cost adds up. We already spoke to you about that. Unless you make your own landscape bags, I mean, $1.25 really isn't bad. And 5 gallons is about the biggest one I get. The 3 gallons would be even less. And some people find them unattractive. Unattractive? What's not beautiful about that? So to those people that find it unattractive, I go, wah, okay, get over it, all right? Plant in the ground. Now, other than that, those are the pros and cons for the cloth bags. Now, a lot of people are still using plastic bags. When I started, because a grow bag is anything. I mean, all those shopping bags you get from the different stores, those are grow bags, as long as they have some kind of drainage in them. But there's a lot of plasticky ones. Like when I first started, and you'll see them in my videos still. Matter of fact, that picture I showed you with all the plants in the Alaska Grow Bucket, most of the ones in there are the Walmart, those little 79-cent walnut bags they had years ago. They're kind of cloth, but they're cloth, kind of plasticky. So the thing about those is some of those aren't biodegradable. The plastics don't break down in the soil. So what do I say about that? Don't use them. Get the cloth ones, okay? Back then I used them because it was so much cheaper and I was trying to do things on a budget. But $1.25, if you look around on Amazon, you're going to find them cheaper than those. Here's a tip, okay? Very important tip. If you're going to buy the cloth bags online, do it soon. If you wait till the season starts, everyone's out of stock, okay? So you have to order them in February, March, the latest, because coming April, out of stock, all the good deals. You might have to start paying $4 or $5 a bag, okay? And a lot of your grow stores, I was actually interviewing and recording a video in a grow store not too far from here, and they must have had 15, 20 different style grow bags in there. I didn't believe it. They were more expensive than these, but he says all our 5 gallons of this kind last week sold for $1.45, I think he said. We were discontinuing them, so we put them all for $1.45. Some guy came and bought all of them. And I said, well, you got any more? Okay. So sometimes you can find deals at different stores. I know Walmart has on occasion had grow bags. I found them in some stores. Home Depot, I think, has them. I know most of them have them online, but you might find them in the store. Plastic grow bags, plastic doesn't breathe as much as these, so you might have problems with root binding. They might twist up, what they call circling, and that could cause problems. So get the cloth ones. Watering, if you overwater with plastic bags and they don't have the drainage, and this is why you don't want solid plastic, again, you're going to have root rot and a lot of other problems. With these, root rot doesn't happen because it drains out, especially with my soil solution that I use, okay? My soil is mostly probably 50% peat moss. 50% peat moss, 40% manure, and the rest is all kinds of, different bone meal and this kind of stuff, lime, and just stuff to keep it healthy. I'll try really hard to remember, okay, to put my soil recipe in the comments below this video. What else with plastic? The lifespan of plastic isn't long because they can crack, they tear, and limited airflow. They just don't breathe as well, which isn't good for the roots, okay? So that's pretty much it. And I wanted to show you, I already opened them, so I can't really do an unboxing, but this is one of the boxes. I bought 2 boxes of these. It came from Amazon in a nice little box, very light. And there they are, 24 all in one package. And you can tell how light they are. Look at that. Whee! Okay. And this was 24 from that company JNYONJ is the ones I get them from. But like I say, go on Amazon. Aviva Sun's good. There's so many great companies, you know. And I hope some of the manufacturers of these grow bags are watching this video. If you are, please let people know that you're available. Tell them some of the good things about your bags in the comments below. So this way people will start reading through the comments and seeing what's available. So let them, hey, we have these and they work great. This is our best feature. This is, you know. And for those of you who are using grow bags, let me know what you think of them. The more comments we have down there, the more people are going to be able to learn about grow bags and have an idea of what they can do with them. So with that, take a look in the comments below to see the recipe for soil if you want to use it. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.